another Tuesday. It's Tuesday, August 22nd. It is about 9:30. If you watched last week's vlogs, you will know that this is a continuation of that, since I had said I was going to do a 5-day work week, but I actually ended up only being able to do 4 days last week. So today is the 5th day. Plus I will try to do more vlogs going forward, just because it seems like you guys have really enjoyed these, and there have been requests to keep doing more, so I'm going to try to keep doing more. Won't be every day of the week, but I guess my ideal goal would be maybe like 1 day a week, in addition to doing some other videos. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for. And again, if you watched last week's, you'll know that on Tuesday my dad comes to take care of Penelope. So he's been here for a few hours already. I got a super early start, and they are actually outside right now. Penelope just loves being outside, so even if she's fussy or, and she's always a little bit fussy if she's not with me, but somehow being outside just calms her down. It's kind of amazing. So yeah, they're hanging out, and I can see them right outside of this window behind me. So yeah, so far this morning, what have I done? I cleaned up my desk because I had been working mostly on portfolio pieces last week, so all traditional work. And then one of the client projects I'm working on right now, they were delayed in getting feedback to me, but they finally got it in late last week. So I've actually corresponded with them and had requested some additional time, since the feedback was late in getting to me. And they were really great. They agreed to bump the timeline by a day, or even 2 if I need it. Hopefully I won't need more than 1 day. But even with that, I did some work over the weekend on it, just because it's only one piece and it's digital, but it's actually pretty complex. There's multiple different elements, and they want a high degree of realism. So I've been nervous about making the deadline. So yeah, I did a bit of it over the weekend, but this morning I've just been like really buckling down and trying to get it to a pretty decent level of completion. Tomorrow was the original deadline, but probably I will end up sending it in Thursday morning, since we agreed to bump it by a day. So I would say it's like 85% of the way there now. Unfortunately, I can't show it. But yeah, I'm probably gonna pause on it for today. Whoa, how did that happen? I'm like seriously slouching. I'm probably gonna pause on it today, or at least just take a step back for a few hours, just because once I've gotten it close to being done, I like to take some distance from it, just because then I can look at it with fresh eyes the next time I come back to it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing this morning. So I'm about to kind of put that aside for a little bit. Also this week, the logo project that I was working on last week, I have to do a few more things with that this week. So we do have a final design, which is awesome. And I'm actually like feeling really proud about it, because logo design is not my main thing. And I've done, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 logos over the years. And I always feel just really uncertain, because I think there's a good amount of more like conceptual idea, symbolic, that kind of work involved in doing logos, as opposed to just like straight up illustration. So of course, if somebody would be like, oh, draw me a cake, I want a cake for my logo, then that would be no problem. But just coming up with a concept and an idea for a brand, that's not my main strength, and not the thing that I do most of my work in. So I never quite feel confident about it. But the great thing about this project has been that it actually, for the first time, I feel really proud and happy about the finished design. So that's cool, and I will look forward to showing it to you guys once it's public. But even though we have the symbol itself, now I need to show it to them with several different, we have like kind of a rough idea for what we want for the typography, but I have to show it to them with a few different options for typography. So I need to put those together. And yeah, I'll probably do that today. Depending on how the day goes and the timing works out, I may do some additional portfolio work or maybe film a video. Yeah, so that is the plan for today. It is way later now. Sorry, I have basically been a terrible vlogger today, but it's almost 5 and my dad left early this afternoon, and so I've just been kind of plugging away on stuff when Penelope was in a good mood, and then thankfully she did take a couple of naps, so that gave me some good chunks of time. As you saw, I was working away on that digital commission this morning, and I haven't really done anything more on that since this morning. I spent a few hours on that today. And I ended up having to do a bit more work on the logo commission this afternoon. I thought we had a finished image, but it turns out that since this one is for a larger organization, there are multiple people involved in making the decision. So it turned out some other people on the committee who I'm working with actually wanted some more tweaks. So that is still going to be in process, but that's okay because they're still well within their allotted revisions. So yeah, so I'll end up doing a bit more on that this week. And what else did I do? I also, as you will have seen, because I put a little bit of footage in, I've done a little bit of filming of a time lapse, and when I'm done chatting here, I'll show you all my setup. She really likes the toy she's playing with. You can see part of it behind me, but basically I've got my camera on a tripod with a kind of, I don't know what it's called. I think maybe a swing arm is the name, but yeah, so I'll show you all that setup. And what else did I do? Yeah, I mostly just worked on those 2 projects and some portfolio work in between. Plus, as usual, like most days, spent a little bit of time doing admin and responding to that sort of thing. Yeah, so we probably are gonna walk over to the grocery store shortly. We live close enough where we can walk, so we'll probably do that in a few minutes. But before we go over, I thought I would try to answer a couple of questions. All right, so a few people actually asked what I do with my hair and if I would do a hair tutorial. That's crazy. That's crazy, huh? Yeah, you like the artwork. And I basically just do everything that the website curlygirl.com, I basically just do everything that they suggest. I'll put a link down below, and they have like a quiz that you can take to determine your curly hair type. My hair is definitely naturally curly, but it's also really fine, so it can be super frizzy. Bless you. As you will no doubt know if you have watched my videos regularly, some of them the frizz is worse than others. But yeah, that's basically what I do. I just follow all of their advice. So check out that website. I definitely recommend it. And another question. Jennifer Charlie Art asked, I'm curious, at what point did you commit to your current work schedule? Do you feel like you got a proper maternity leave, or did you sneak work in there at the beginning as well? Okay. I don't know. So I think we probably have just been kind of figuring things out and going a little bit by the seat of our pants for the past few months. We're finally getting ready to commit to more of a regular schedule. The most regular thing so far has been that my dad comes on Tuesdays, Eric takes her one day, and then I take her one day, and then we have a babysitter 2 other days. What is kind of settling into place now is that the babysitter will be on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we finally do have like one babysitter that we're gonna work with and we're feeling comfortable with, so that's great. And then Eric will have her Fridays, and then I'll have her Saturdays, and then Sunday, Monday will kind of be our weekend. But related to the second part of your question, did I get a full maternity leave? I think I just said I took 8 weeks. But I definitely did work in the midst of all of that. I worked on a few things, a few assignments for Real Simple, and then I think I did maybe one other assignment. But for a couple other of my regular clients, I just front loaded the work. So I did a bunch before maternity leave, and then I caught up on some other stuff after maternity leave. So, you know, 2 months, that's not too bad. So even sometimes if I'm super busy, like if my project schedule is really full, I might have to schedule a client out 2 months anyway. So that didn't seem like too long of a time to wait. And thankfully, I already had pretty well-established relationships with most of my regular clients, so that was good. And then I had just kind of agreed to myself that if there was a really cool commission that came along that I was super excited about, that I would find a way to do that. And besides that, I also shut down Etsy, and that was a good decision just because it's not like a ton of work, but it's definitely work every week. And that's kind of a slower time of year for me on Etsy anyway, so that just seemed to make sense. And yeah, the piece that ended up kind of not falling through the cracks, but that I ended up having to let go, and I was bummed about it, was Patreon. And I had started that when I was pregnant with Penelope, and I didn't really know for sure whether I was going to be able to carry it on. I thought I probably would, but it just ended up being too much work amidst everything else. So I had to kind of hit the pause button on that, and I'm hoping to come back to it at some point. But yeah, so those are kind of the major pieces: the regular clients, the ongoing new commissions, Etsy, and then Patreon. And then also, I guess, YouTube. But I really did, I think, just kind of pause that for maternity leave. I might have had a couple of new videos that I had pre-scheduled to go up. Yeah, and then I also, on social, I had a bunch of work that I had done in like mid-2016 that I wasn't able to show it when I did it, and it just so happened that the time that I was finally able to show it was during maternity leave, so I just had it scheduled to auto post on Tumblr, and then just put it on Twitter and Instagram as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I handled that. And I guess related to the, related to both of those questions about like, did I feel like I got a proper maternity leave, and then just sort of like what the weekly schedule is. I guess I would say that I don't feel like with illustration, I don't feel like I have to have this super crisp, clear work-life boundary. They kind of are interconnected, and I feel like I'm usually working throughout the day and into the evenings a lot of the time, and part of that is just a function of the stage of life that I'm in, so I'm okay with it. You know, we have a young child right now, so I kind of have to work as much as I can when we have childcare, and then fit other stuff in between, in the margins. So if I find myself having to do email or sketches on an evening, it really doesn't bother me. And same thing in maternity leave. I did work, as I mentioned, but it didn't feel onerous. I just did it. So it definitely felt like enough for me. But I know that that's a pretty personal thing, and that people have different responses to it. And I also know it's especially trickier if you are working, if you're still working a day job. So yeah, I hope I answered that well. I feel like when I'm answering questions while I'm hanging out with her, I am like always partially distracted. So I hope I am answering them thoroughly and clearly, but I know for sure I'm rambling, so sorry these are super long, guys. All right, and I have gotten a bunch of questions, mostly on the vlogs, so I think they've just come up from seeing me do day-to-day working life with clients, but a bunch of people have asked very kind of business-related questions, everything from questions about like exclusivity and usage rights of the client versus the rights of the illustrator, how I deal with clients when they're late on feedback, as you saw last week, what I think is a good amount of work, how much work I want to have in a week, several other questions that kind of fit in that same vein. So I think I may do a Q&A, like another sort of business of illustration Q&A. All of these things I feel like I have addressed to some level, but I'm not sure if I've answered those specific questions. But I would mention, especially if you're newer here, I did do a series, like a 2-part series, I think about a year ago, called The Practical Aspects of Freelance Illustration. And there was one that I made on how, like, finding clients and communicating with clients, and another one that I made about contracts and invoicing. And then I also, a little bit after that, made a video about how I deal with clients and revisions. So a lot of these things have been touched on in those previous videos, so I will put links to them in the description box. But I think I probably also will do a sort of business of illustration, a new business of illustration Q&A. So if you have questions about that, feel free to leave them in the comments to this video, or you can tweet me at Kendall Hilligus. And yeah, I will hopefully get that made soon. This week, actually, I do have a video going up that probably will touch on some of these subjects as well, but it's going to be about boundaries for illustrators and artists in particular. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the work-life boundary, and about working for free, about working within the constraints of your contract. So it'll touch on a bunch of interesting stuff, and it definitely seems like things that people are interested in, because you all have a lot of questions about it. So yeah, let me know if you have more questions, and as usual, let me know if you have any other ideas for a video. Oh, that was creepy. The door just closed on its own. Yeah, let me know if you have other ideas for other videos you would like to see. And the little bit of that pie painting that you saw today, that will be a full time-lapse video, likely next Friday. So keep an eye out for that as well. All right, let me show you my film setup. All right, so you can see I've got my tripod here, and this is a new tripod. I think I did show my film setup in my studio tour, which is over a year old now, but this is a different tripod. The one I had in that, you had to twist the legs to adjust them, but these ones, it's really nice. They're just clips, so it's much faster. So overall, I like it more than my other one. However, this joint, no matter how much I tighten it, it doesn't ever stay really tight. So when I'm using this arm, I have to balance it with my very fancy water bottle weight here. So it works, but yeah, this is what I had filming the time lapse today. And as you can see, I have still been working away with these colored pencils. And my hope is with this time lapse video to also do a talk through and just kind of talk about some of my initial takeaways with these colored pencils and what I'm thinking about them. Yeah, and this is about as far as I've gotten on this piece just now. I think I'm going to do some more layers with the watercolor pencils and then switch to softcore pencils. And I've also been working on this piece, which is a peach tart, and it's inspired by a bakery that I really love up in the town where my parents live, and they actually just opened up a second location literally right down the street from my parents. So I'm super excited and have been thinking about them a lot lately. All right, so I think we'll walk to the grocery store and just grab a couple of things for the morning. I know we need soy milk, and I think we need some fruit as well for her. And plus, since it's like 5 o'clock, probably like 5:15 now, we're well into her fussy window, so it'll be good just to get out with her. And I am getting the low battery signal, so I probably should wrap up the vlog here for now. I hope it wasn't too crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it, and I will see you in the next video, which should be posting this Friday. So see you then. Bye.